Alright guys, so now we will be getting started with our new topic, and that is going to be regarding the index column and the conditional columns. So in this specific section itself, into this ribbon, you can see that there is so the ribbon that we are going forward with at this point is the add column ribbon, right? And in this add column ribbon itself, you can see that there are some options like index column and conditional column, right? So with respect to these two columns only, we will be going forward in this video. So I will be first of all giving you this insight about that what exactly do we mean by this index column, right? So this index column is a bit like a primary key. So just like in your SQL table, you used to create these primary key, right? So primary key is going to be unique with respect to each and every single data point or with respect to each and every single row that we are going to have, right? So this primary key will be helping you out to uniquely identify that how exactly the given row is different from the rest of the rows, right? So that's exactly how we were making the use of the primary key. In a similar way, we will be making the use of this index column such that the values that will be present in the index column will be helping us out to uniquely identify that how exactly the given row is different from the other rows, right? So with respect to each and every single row, we are going to assign it a specific index value. And these index values are definitely going to be different from each other. So that will be ultimately helping us out to uniquely identify a specific row. And even if I want to retrieve a specific value, then also we can go forward with this indexing technique, right? So in one of the application that is Llama Index. So Llama Index, you might would have seen that it is one of the AI model which is different from LangChain, and what exact uh, speciality Llama Index is having in the case of AI is its good indexing technique. So if you are working with a large amount of data set and if I want the better retrieval of the data, right? If I'm trying to create an application wherein I want the better retrieval of the data, then by making the use of this Llama index, I can provide the efficient indexing to these data sets, right? So this is a part of AI, but you can see that how exactly the indexing can be important, as if we are doing the proper indexing, then the retrieval of the data becomes so easy for us. All right. So that's the reason why we will be making the use of this index column if it is required. And now we will be looking forward to that what exactly this conditional column means, right? So this conditional column will be helping us out to create a new column that will be created on the basis of some condition being met with respect to the given column. So for example, if I am putting a certain condition that if this particular limit is being reached, right? Or for example, into my current column, if a certain condition is being met, then if I want to retrieve some specific value into the new column, then I can go forward with this conditional column, right? So we will be discussing about that by looking into one of the example by creating one of the CSV file, right? So we are having one of the CSV file into our folder itself, and that is discussing about the sales data. So up till now, we haven't looked into the sales data, right? So now I will be extracting the information regarding the sales data by making the use of this option itself. So we are going to make the use of this text CSV extraction, and now I will be extracting the sales data from the year of 2022. So we are going to open it, and into this CSV file itself, we can look forward to that how exactly we can work with the index column and with respect to this conditional column itself. As you can see that there is a specific row over here, the last row that is giving us the insight about the order quantity, that with respect to a given order, how many number of quantity were there with respect to that specific order, right? So with respect to this order quantity, we can create a new conditional column that if the order quantity is coming out to be 1, then we can show a value as single item into my conditional column. Otherwise, I can, if the order quantity is exceeding the value of 1, then we can put the value of the quantity type as multiple time or multiple item, right? And if the order quantity is not meeting these conditions, then I can put this else condition that if these conditions are not being met, so we can go forward with the value as other. So it is more like a if else clause, right? Right. So whenever you are working with this conditional column, you simply need to look forward to this as a kind of if else kind of column. All right. So now I will be extracting the information here. I'm going to click OK. All right. So we have extracted the data. So same practice we have to apply. We have to change the table name and then now after changing the table name, you can see in the query section, our table name has updated. Along with that, you need to look forward to that whether if the data type of each and every single is column is proper or not, right? So we can see that date format is proper so that it might also be meeting the proper locale, right? The locale that we were discussing in one of the previous video. All right, so each and every single header is promoted and the type is proper. So we can go forward with our index column and the conditional column. So now I will be creating this index column. I will be showing it to you at how exactly this index column will be helping us out in representing each and every single value or with respect to each and every single row independent representation, right? So it's up to you that if you want to start the indexing from 0 or if you want to start it from 1 or a custom value you can also provide. So a kind of a kind of increment you will get to see that if your value is getting started from or if your indexing is getting started from 0, so the first row will be getting its index as 0, next one as 1, and then the next one as 2, like that, in a kind of increment manner. But it's a good practice if you are if you are starting your index column from 1 itself. So let us go with this option. And you can see that we are having a new column right now wherein each and every single row will now be identified with respect to this index column itself, right? So now if you want the retrieval of a specific order, then it can become easy for you if you are just making the use of this indexing technique, right? So it's always a good practice to keep the index column into the first place itself or into the beginning itself. So either I can drag it and I can drop it at the first place, or I can go forward with this option wherein there is a move option over here, right? So by making the use of this move option, I can go forward to the beginning. And yeah, you can see that how exactly this index column is placed at the beginning and how exactly it is helping us out in differentiating between each and every single row that we are having, right? But just because in our case we don't really need it, so just it was a kind of good practice to we were just showing you that how exactly you can create the index column if it is required for your own use case, right? So just because we don't need it, so we will be removing this applied step. I have reordered it and then I've added it. I will be simply cutting that step, or I will be simply removing that applied step. And we are back with our original table, and then I will be going forward with the second topic that we were discussing about, and that was regarding the conditional column. So let us go with this specific column, which is giving us the insight about the order quantity. So I'm going forward with this drop down option, and you can see that the order quantity is either 1, 2, or 3. And you can see this option that most of the time Power BI used to show us that the list may be incomplete, as there can be some chances that the order quantity can be 4 as well, 5 as well, but it is not exactly showing us those values. So it's not a kind of big issue over here. You can simply click on load more and you can see that it was appropriate, right? We are having only these three order quantity values, that is 1, 2, and 3, right? So now I can go forward with this specific column itself, and I can go forward with creating a conditional column on the basis of this order quantity column. I'm going to click over here, and the column name, I will be naming it as quantity type. And now with respect to which specific column I want to put the condition, so I want to put the condition on the basis of order quantity column, right? So if the order quantity is coming out to be equal to 1, then the output should be in a textual format, right? It should be single item, right? And then we can add some new clause over here. So it's like a if else clause, right? Like if else if, like that. So now I will be adding my else if. So if the order quantity is coming out to be greater than 1. So if the order quantity is exceeding the value of 1, then we can refer it as, or we can refer the output as multiple item. And it's always a good practice that you should always put a else clause, as definitely in our condition, the order quantity is 1, 2, and 3 only. So by putting these specific conditions itself, we will be able to get the quantity type. But just because it's a good practice to keep the else clause, so we can put some else clause over here, that if these two certain conditions are not being met, then I can give the output as other. All right. So we are done with our conditions, and now I will be creating this new column. And you can see we are having our new column created, right? This quantity type which is being shown and which is representing that what exactly is the quantity type we are having. Again, I will be going forward with this load more option, which will be giving me this insight that what kind of quantity type I'm having, right? So we are having either one as the quantity type, one item, or we are having two or three items, right? Just because of which we have got the quantity type as single item or as multiple item. All right, so that's exactly how you can create your conditional column as well. So you can definitely go forward with these options, right? Duplicate column we have already shown you in one of the video in the assignment itself. So it is already being cleared. And we have also shown you that how exactly you can work with these index column and conditional column as well. And if you want to see that if these changes are happening in the front end, in the data model or not, then you have to go on the home tab. You have to click on close and apply. And now you have to apply these changes. Okay, so the loading of the data might take some time. So we can wait for that. And every time you will be getting this option as well that there are some pending changes in your queries that you haven't applied. So you always have to make sure that before saving your file or before closing your file, you always have to apply these changes, right? So if you're not exactly applying those changes, then whatever changes you will be making in the back end, those changes you won't be able to see in the front end, right? So the next time when you will be opening your file, you won't be able to see the changes which you have made in the back end. So always click on this apply changes option, which will be making it a bit clear that whatever changes you have made, that is getting saved as soon as you are going to close your file, right? And when you will be looking into your front end in your data model, you will get to see that this specific column has been created, right? So this table, in this table itself, there would be be that column which would have been added as soon as you are going to look into your data model, right? So every time you have to make sure that as soon as you're going to add some data, going to add some new column. So you have to save those changes as well. So you have to click over here, you have to save those changes, and that will be making it sure that whatever changes you are making at the back end, that you will be able to see when you are going to reopen this file. All right, so you can simply go forward with your data model option. You can look it over there and you can make sure that the changes you are making at the back end are getting reflected in the front end as well. Just because once you are done with this, we will be going forward with the data model only. All right. So that would be all in this video, and that would be all regarding the index column and conditional columns. And definitely, we would like you guys to try this out from your side as well, so that you will become better with these things, right? So we will be meeting you in the next video. So thank you guys. All right, guys. So in one of our previous video, we were discussing about these aggregate functions, right? So we were discussing about these aggregate and scalar functions, that how exactly by making the use of these functions, either we can come up with a single value or we can come up with the same number of values that the given column is having, right? So for example, if the given column is having around 100 number of values, and if we want to retrieve a new column or if we want to extract a new column, that should consist of the similar number of rows or similar number of values after applying some operation on the first column, then we can go forward with the scalar function, right? In a similar way, we can make the use of this aggregate function if we want to retrieve a single value after applying an operation onto the whole column. So some examples we were giving with respect to these aggregate functions. So we would like to definitely look into that. So into this transform tab, we are having these statistic tools, right? So all of these functions that you can see on the screen, that is a sum function, and all of these operations are something we used to refer it to as the aggregate operations. So sum will be giving you the complete sum value, that what exactly is going to be the sum for this given numeric column. Then minimum value, what is a max value, median value. So these values are coming out to be as a unique value, which will be applied to the complete column, right? So if you want to work better with these kind of calculations or with respect to these aggregate functions, then you are having one of the way to work with them, and that way is going to be to group the given data points which are going to be there into a categorical column. So by a categorical column, what I exactly mean to say is that, for example, if I'm having a particular data set which is giving me the insight about the sales in different countries, right? So in different countries, what is the sale we are having? So that idea we can get. So if you are doing the sale in around 8 countries, so these 8 countries are going to be the 8 different categories that we can have. And that specific column, which will be giving us the insight about those 8 countries, is going to be that categorical column. So that's exactly how this categorical column used to work. So whenever we are having a specific column which is having these multiple categories, like category 1, category 2, just like the classification problem statement we used to have whenever we are working with a machine learning model or with respect to a deep learning model, right? A dog cat classifier that you are building. So your one class is going to be a cat, one class is going to be a dog. So that's how exactly you used to perform this classification, right? And the kind of so the classification is exactly working on some categories, right? And these categories are going to be there into a categorical column. So whenever we are having these categorical column, we can group these categorical columns in such a way such that we can retrieve some important values out of it. So for example, if I'm having a certain data set which is giving me the insight about the countries, and if I want to simply figure out that what is the total sum of sales into each and every single country we are having. So for that, what exactly we can do is that we can simply group these countries on the basis of country name, and then we can apply this operation, that is the aggregate operation of sum, into the sales column. So that after applying that aggregate operation, or after applying that aggregate function operation onto a column, that is the sales column, we will be able to know that what exactly is going to be the total sum of sales into each and every single country that we are having. Just because the grouping we are doing is with respect to the country itself, right? In a similar way, if you want to calculate that in a given department, if you are having a given like for example, if you're having a given data set which is giving you the insight about these multiple segments, so you are having the segment 1, segment 2, and segment 3. So if you want to calculate that what is the total sum of sales in these 3 segments, then what exactly you can do is that you can simply group these segments such that group 1 is going to be the segment 1, group 2 is going to be the segment 2, and group 3 is going to be the segment 3, and the complete sum for all of the values or all of the sales value which will be associated with respect to the group 1 or the segment 1, that value you can retrieve in a kind of summary table, right? So definitely if we are just going forward with the theory aspect as well, it won't be a bit clear for you. So definitely we would like to go forward with the practical application itself, so that you can have a kind of more idea that how exactly this grouping operation used to work, or how exactly this aggregate functions used to work, right? So let us go with one of our CSV file, that is the sales data 2022, and into this specific table itself, we are having these columns like the product key and the customer key, right? So now with respect to these columns, if I want to figure out that what is the total order quantity, right? So what is the total order quantity with respect to a specific product category? So this product category is definitely getting repeated, right? Like 214 will be getting repeated, and just like that, we can have these multiple product category which are repeating, just because with respect to a specific product itself, it will be having a specific key itself, right? It won't be getting definitely for a specific product, we can have a unique key for it, right? So definitely it will be getting repeated into this column, and that's why if I want to simply calculate that what exactly is going to be the total order quantity with respect to a specific product key, right? So that I can calculate via making the use of this operation. So in this transform tab itself, or into this transform ribbon itself, you can see that there is an operation of group by, right? So if I'm clicking over here, after clicking on product key, then you can see that there are two ways in which you can group by, right? So on the base, what exactly the column we are considering from grouping for grouping over here is the product key, right? So we can either group them up by the basic group by clause, or we can group them up by the advanced group by clause, right? So with respect to this basic group by clause, if I want to calculate at what is the total order quantity I'm having, or what is the total quantity I'm having, right? That means what exactly I'm calculating is the total sum. This, yeah, over here you can see that the operation is going to be that aggregate function that we were talking about, right? So if I want to calculate that, what is the total count? So how many number of times a specific product key is occurring, right? Like for example, I'm having a table which is giving me the insight again about the sales of the different country. So if I want to calculate that how many number of times that specific country name is occurring, like for example, for 100 rows, if 14 number of times India is occurring, right, into that specific CSV file, so that count will be giving me that insight that in with respect to India group, we are having the value 14 associated with it, right? And that is going to be the count of that specific group value, right? So that's exactly how these aggregate functions used to work. So definitely, if you're having knowledge in SQL, then you are quite aware about these things, that how exactly this group by clause works, right? So now with respect to this order quantity, so I will be taking this order quantity. So I will be calculating the total sum of the order quantity, and I will be naming my new column as the total quantity I'm having, right? And this basic group by clause I'm applying, and then you can see a summary table that will be created over here, right? So this specific product key, with respect to this product key, that is 529, we're having the total quantities as 2379, right? So you can see these amazing values after grouping. So you can see that what exactly we are doing is that with respect to this product key, we are grouping such that this specific group, so group 1 is going to be 529. In a similar way, 214 is going to be one of the group, 540 product key is going to be one of the group. And with respect to this group, we are calculating that what exactly is the total order quantity we are having, or the sum of order quantity we are having, right? So all of these important insights you can get via making the use of this group by clause, right? So in a similar way, I will be showing it to you. Like for example, again, I can give you an example of a table which is giving me the insight about the sales, wherein I'm having the country name as well, and I'm having the state name as well. So now if I want to look into that into India, if I'm having the information about the multiple states as well, then in India itself, with respect to a given state, what is the total sales amount with respect to that specific state itself? If that I want to calculate, then for that I need to go forward with the advanced grouping. Just because the group one I will be creating is going to be with respect to the country name, and the group two I will be creating is going to be with respect to the state name, right? So that's exactly how the advanced grouping used to work. And that will be giving me the insight that what exactly is the sales amount with respect to the state which is there in the given country, right? So this important insight, again, you can get via making the use of this advanced group by clause. So we will be going forward with that. So you can see that there is an advanced group by operation over here. And now I can first of all go forward with my product key itself. So first grouping I will be doing with respect to the product key, and the second operation, or the second value I will be considering over here is going to be, so we are having multiple operations, right? So let us go with the customer key as our second grouping option, and we are going to name it as the total quantity we are having for the given product. And now I want to calculate the total sum total quantity, right? And what was the column I was considering? That was the product key, right? All right, so we will be going forward with this and we will be looking into that how exactly we can retrieve the values. You can see with respect to a given product key, we are having the customer key as this, and with respect to this customer key, what exactly is the total quantity we are having. So that's exactly how you can work, right? So you can create these multiple groupings. So definitely, if you're having such a data set which is giving you the insight about these country name and state names, then you can have a kind of great idea that how exactly these things are working. So it can be a bit difficult to understand that how exactly this group by clause is working with respect to this specific example that we took. But if you're having a kind of categorical column which is having some specific countries itself, then you can have a kind of great knowledge at how exactly these things are working. Or we can have a look over some of if you're having such a kind of categorical column itself. All right, so with respect to this education level, yeah, you can see over here that we are having a kind of proper categorical column, right? So with respect to the education level, if I want to figure out that what is the total income, so now you can see, right? Now I will be showing it to you that how exactly this group by clause works well. So now the group will be created with respect to the education level. So with so all of the bachelors which is getting repeated over here, so all of these bachelors value will be present into a single column itself or into as a single value itself. So group 1 is going to be bachelors, group 2 is going to be partial college, and with respect to this group 1, that is bachelors, I will be calculating the total annual income, right? So that's exactly how you can create these groups, right? So I can look into that total income with education level as the table name, right? And now I want to calculate the total sum of the value. I want to calculate that what is the total sum of the annual income we are having, right? So I'm making the use of education level over here. With respect to the education level, I want to calculate that what is the total sum of annual income we are having, right? And you can see that for bachelors, the total income we are having, you can see the value over here, right? So you can see that how exactly we can this group by clause work. So this is a kind of proper example, a perfect example that the grouping is being done with respect to these multiple categories we are having, and we can get the total value that what exactly is going to be the total value that will be corresponding to these specific groups, right? And you can simply get this group as a kind of summary table. But just because we are not exactly interested in this value at this point, so we will be not exactly saving these changes. But you definitely would have got this idea that how exactly the things are working with respect to these grouping and aggregating techniques, right? So that would be all regarding the grouping and aggregating techniques. So definitely, if you're having a data set which is having these multiple groups in it, so you can definitely try out this grouping technique from your side as well. So that would be all from our side in this video, and we will be meeting you in the next video with some more important transformation. So thank you. All right, guys. So in one of our previous videos, we were discussing about the messy data, right? That whenever we are going forward with the data cleaning process, so either we can have the dirty data or we can have the messy data, right? So by a messy data, what exactly I mean to say is that if we are having a data set, let us say, which is which is giving us the details about the population of each and every single country. So if this specific data set is consisting of multiple columns, wherein each and every single column is representing the country name, and that specific column is having the value as the population of that specific country. And definitely you can see that if you're having a details like this, wherein the multiple country name are being shown into these multiple columns, then it's always better to get a data set or to simply transform this data set in such a way such that all of these countries which are being shown in multiple columns can be shown into a single column itself, right? So that single column will be showing us the country name, and these multiple rows will be showing us that what all different countries we are having. And then into a single column itself, we can show that what exactly is the population of each and every single country we are having, right? So this is what we exactly mean by messy data, right? So when we were having a CSV file or a data set wherein the multiple countries were being shown in these multiple columns. So at that point of time, we were having a kind of messy data. But when we transformed that specific CSV file into such a way such that now into a single column itself, we are representing these multiple country names and the associated population is being shown in the associated row in the next column, then we are basically coming out of this messy data, right? And just in order to discuss this thing, that how exactly we can convert these columns into the rows so that we can get out of this messy data, we will be coming up with our next transformation technique, and that is going to be the pivoting and unpivoting technique. So over here itself, you can see that there is one of the option that is pivot column and unpivot column, right? So in order to explain you this and what exactly pivoting means, so just the conversion of these distinct rows that we are going to have. So for example, if I'm having a specific, let us go with a similar example wherein we are having a column which is representing these multiple country names. And then if we want to convert those rows which are representing the country name into the columns such that a distinct country will be shown as a specific column, right? So focus on this thing that we are considering the distinct countries over here, right? So repeated value. So basically, if a country is getting repeated for multiple times, so we shouldn't get the column which is getting repeated multiple times, right? Like for example, we are having a column which is having India getting repeated 5 times. So we don't want that after pivoting, this India should be shown into 5 different columns, right? What exactly we want is that India should be shown into a single column itself, and that is what exactly we mean by a pivoting technique. So in pivoting, we are going to convert these distinct rows into the specific columns, right? And unpivoting is going to be that different, just the opposite of it, wherein the multiple columns will be now getting converted into these rows. So the distinct columns that we are going to have, when they are being converted into rows, then we will be referring this to as unpivoting technique. So I will be writing this on the screen itself, that what exactly we mean by this, so that you can have a kind of better idea about it. So by pivoting, I mean to say that, yeah, so by pivoting, I mean to say that distinct rows are getting converted into the columns, right? And by unpivoting, we mean to say that's the opposite of it. So in the case of unpivoting, these distinct columns will be now getting converted into these multiple rows, right? So you can just take the opposite of this thing and you will be having the complete idea that what exactly we mean by this pivoting and unpivoting technique, right? So I think it would be better if we are showing you the practical implementation, that how exactly you can come out of this pivoting and unpivoting tools, right? And how exactly we can make the use of these tools. So let us go with a practical application. So into our one of our CSV file itself, we had so let us first of all gather the data which will be representing a such kind of data, right? So that we can show you that how exactly we mean by pivoting and unpivoting. And one more thing we would like to emphasize on, and that is the transpose that we used to see, right? So over here itself, you can see that there is an option of transpose. So transpose is also doing the same thing itself. So transpose will also be helping you out to alter your table such that your rows will now be shown into the columns and the columns will now be shown into a row, just like the transpose of a matrix, right? But the issue with transpose is that if a certain value is getting repeated for multiple times into a given column or into multiple rows, if a specific value is getting repeated, then that repeated value will now be shown into multiple columns. So that means that if India is getting repeated for 5 times in a given column itself, or 5 rows if they are representing India, then after transposing the given table, India will now be shown into 5 different columns, right? And that exactly we doesn't want from our side, right? What exactly we want is that into a specific column itself, India should be shown, right? So for that itself, we mostly want to be going forward with the transpose technique, and we will be going forward with pivoting and unpivoting technique itself. So now we will be gathering the data, which will be illustrating us that how exactly we can work with this pivoting and unpivoting technique, right? So let us go with the CSV file that we had already, and I'm going to import the data now. All right, so here itself you can see that there is a specific CSV file, and that is product category sales, and that is an unpivot demo. So definitely we are looking into this so that we will get to know that how exactly transpose works, how exactly pivoting and unpivoting tools work, right? So in most of the cases, whenever you are transforming your data and whenever you are coming up with a data set which is consisting of messy data, so in order to come out of this messy data, or in order to perform this data cleaning process, you always have to go forward with this pivoting and unpivoting tools, right? So now we will be going forward with the specific table which is representing these multiple values. All right, so here we are with our new CSV file, which is representing the data, wherein you can see that over here itself. First of all, let us follow the similar practice wherein we used to convert the given table name into a proper name, right? So that in the future, it would be a bit easy for us to create the data model, right? So let us go with the category sales as our table name, and each and every single header is promoted as well over here, and the data type of each and every single column is perfect, right? So now we can go forward with these tools. So in the CSV file itself, you can see that we are having multiple columns which are representing that how many number of what is the quantity of bikes that were being sold, or let us go with all of these components. So or all of these product categories. So one of the product categories bikes. So how many number of bikes were being sold in north region, and then in central region, and then in south region, right? So over here itself, you can see that multiple columns are representing this north region, central region, and south region. But what if we can come up with a way where into a single column itself, we can represent all of these multiple values, right? Like into a single column itself, we can represent north region, central region, and south region. And that will be simply helping us out to get this idea that what all number of bikes were being sold in north region, what all number of clothing were being sold into the north region or central region. So that complete insight we can get into a single column itself. And that is what exactly we mean by unpivoting, right? So we will be going forward with this unpivoting technique itself, and you can see that why exactly we are going with unpivoting over here, just because we are trying to convert the columns into rows, right? So whenever the distinct column conversion will be happening into rows, so that is something we used to refer it to as unpivoting. And if we are having the rows which we want to convert it into the columns, then I will be referring this to as pivoting technique. All right, so now in this transform technique itself, you can see that we are having one of the option that is unpivot columns. So first of all, by clicking on shift and then selecting these multiple columns, we'll get to have this option wherein we can simply unpivot these multiple columns, right? So you have to select these specific regions. Now just one thing you have to make sure from your side that whatever columns you need to unpivot from your side, only those specific columns must be selected, right? You can't select multiple other columns as that would definitely gonna create a kind of issue over here. So we have selected our required columns, and then we can go forward with this unpivot columns technique. And all right, so in this so over here itself, you'll get to see that there you're going to have this unpivot column technique. So maybe just a second. So we are having this unpivot columns option over here, which you can choose from your side. So when you are choosing these multiple columns, then you can see this drop down option is available over here, right? So you can select these columns from your side. So just because we have selected these three specific columns and we want to unpivot them such that these columns will be now shown into a specific row itself. So now I will be clicking on this option and you'll get to see that how exactly the values are being shown, right? So I will be simply naming the specific column as the region, and you can see that in the north region, how many number of bikes are being sold, right? So what all product category we are having into the multiple region, now that can be shown into a single column itself. So we don't have to go forward with these multiple columns, as multiple columns can be shown into a single column itself right now. And this is what exactly we mean by unpivoting. And in the case of pivoting, it's just the reverse of it. So for example, you are having such a kind of data wherein now you want to convert this specific column into multiple columns, then you can go forward with this pivoting technique, right? And in a similar way, we were discussing that there is a transpose technique as well, which we can go forward with, but definitely it won't be working fine just because the values which are getting repeated over here. So you can see that in this specific region, south region is getting repeated, north region is getting repeated multiple times. But when it was being shown into these columns, so columns were representing this for one single time itself, no? So definitely you have to simply look forward to that do we have to make the use of transpose, or do we have to make the use of pivoting and unpivoting on the basis of whether if we want the repeated values to be shown in multiple columns or not. So now we will be showing you the example that how exactly this transpose technique works, right? So now if I'm clicking over here, you'll get to see that the specific value, the single value is getting repeated for multiple times, right? Like the specific date that is there, that is 7th of January 2022, is getting repeated multiple times. And this is what exactly we don't want, right? What exactly we want is that a single value should be shown into a single column, or even if a value is getting repeated for multiple times, that should be shown into a single column itself. Right, so that's why we want to be going forward with the transpose tool over here, and we have to make the use of pivoting and unpivoting as per the requirement and as per the kind of messy data we are having. So this is what exactly we mean by these tools, and so you can definitely try it from your side whenever you are facing any messy data, or whenever you are having a CSV file which is consisting of messy data, right? And that would be all in this video, and we will be meeting you in the next video with some more important transformations. So thank you. So in SQL, we are having one of the important concept, right? That is regarding joins. So joins is one of the most important concept that we use to consider in SQL, wherein in every interview we are being asked that what exactly these join operation is, right? So if I want to explain you that what exactly is joins, then in order to explain you that, we can consider an example of a database which is belonging to Swiggy. So Swiggy database can have these multiple entities, right? So in SQL, we used to consider the tables as the entities. So we can have these multiple entities, like I can have the users entity, which will be giving me the insights about the users who are ordering a food via making the use of Swiggy. Then we can have the second column, or the second, or we can have the second entity as the restaurant entity, which will be giving us the insight that from which specific restaurant the user is ordering the food. Then in a similar way, we can have the food entity, which will be giving us the insight that what exactly the food item has been ordered, right? Then we can have a orders entity, which will be giving us the insight that from which specific restaurant the order was there, right? So basically user is ordering the food from which specific restaurant, and what was the order ID, and then what at what specific date the order was there. So in order to get this idea, we are having this orders table, which will be giving us the insight about the restaurant name as well, and it will be giving us the insight about the user name as well. So for example, into this specific database itself, if I want to retrieve the information that from which specific restaurant we are getting the maximum number of orders. So in this specific case, we are not exactly considering that we are interested in the restaurant ID, but what exactly we are interested in is the restaurant name, right? That from which specific restaurant we are having, from where we are getting the maximum number of orders. So you can see this thing that if I want to get the idea about the orders, then that, or if I want to get the idea about the maximum number of orders, then that idea I will be getting from the orders table itself, right? In a similar way, if I want to get the idea about the restaurant name, then that specific restaurant name idea I will be getting from restaurant table itself. So just because the information that we want to retrieve is present in two different tables, that is orders table with maximum number of orders detail, and then the restaurant table with the restaurant name detail, right? So in this specific scenario, or whenever we are coming across this specific scenario wherein we have to figure out some values, we have to retrieve some important uh, values which are coming out from two different tables or from multiple tables, then in that specific scenario, we used to go forward with the joins operation, right? So if I want to get this idea that which specific restaurant with its associated restaurant name is giving me the maximum number of orders, so for that, I have to join these two different tables together. So the orders table will be getting joined with respect to the restaurant table to give us this insight that with respect to which specific restaurant name, we are getting the maximum number of orders. And that's exactly how joins used to work. So whenever you are working with joins, you have to make sure that, or you have to simply look forward to the problem statement. That if your problem statement is asking you to get the value from multiple tables, then only you should go forward with the join operation, right? But if you can get some important answer from a single table itself, then there is no such requirement for applying joins, right? So just like the joins operation we are going to have in SQL, in a similar way in Power BI, we are going to have the merge operation. So merge operation, you might would have also gone through if you are having some idea about pandas. So in pandas as well, we are having we are having this merge operation, and we are having joins operation in pandas as well. So in a similar way, just like this specific join operation is working, in a similar way, this specific merge operation will also be working. So this merge operation will be helping us out to join two tables together such that on the basis of a specific column, like in the case of Swiggy database, we have joined these two different tables together. That is the orders table and restaurant table with respect to the restaurant ID, right? Just because in the orders table, we were having this insight that from which specific restaurant ID, we are getting the order. And then the restaurant table is having the insight about the restaurant ID and the restaurant name as well as the attributes or as the columns. So columns are being considered as attributes in SQL. So just because we had to figure out some important answer in this scenario, so we were joining these two different tables together. That is the orders table and the restaurant table with respect to the restaurant ID, right? So in a similar way, this merge operation will be working wherein we have to join the two different tables together, which on the basis of a specific column, which should come out to be the similar one in both of the table, right? So if I'm having the first table as table 1, and if it is having a specific column as C1, so we have to make sure that with respect to the second table T2, with which I'm trying to join with respect to T1, it should also have the column as C1, right? Then only the join operation or the merge operation will be applied. So that's exactly how the merge operation used to work. So whenever we are going to merge the two different tables together, we have to simply look forward to that column, which is going to be the similar one in both of the tables. And then we can simply join these two different tables together on the basis of that specific column. And then the columns from table 2 can now be associated with respect to the columns from table 1, right? So a kind of wide new table you can derive out of it. So this final merge table can come out to be a kind of newly created merge table, or you can simply join, or you can simply merge the table 2 with respect to table 1 in the similar table itself. So that is completely up to you, right? So there are two different kind of operation that we used to apply in between the multiple tables in Power BI. So either we used to go forward with appending technique, or we used to go forward with the merging technique. So appending, we will be going forward in the next video itself. But as soon as we're concerned about the merging technique, so merging technique will be helping us out to join the two different tables together on the basis of a similar column, which is getting repeated in both of the tables. And a wide table we will be getting, right? That means the columns from table 2 will be getting added over here. Just right to it in the right direction, right? And that's exactly how we used to apply these merge operation. But one thing we would like to emphasize on, that is if you are able to apply the merge operation in between the multiple tables, then also it is not exactly recommended that you should always go forward with it, right? As in some of the situations, if the requirement is to join the to merge the two different tables together, so as per the requirement, you can go forward with it, but it's always not recommended to go forward with the merging operation, right? as the merging operation used to come up with these lot of duplicated and the redundant data. And that is one of the major reason why it's always preferred to not exactly go forward with the merge operation at each and every single time, right? So definitely in the future videos, we will be going forward with the model relationship, which will be exactly helping us out to join the two different tables together, so that we can retrieve the data, or we can retrieve the values from table T1 with respect to table T2. So definitely we will be going forward with that in the future videos. But for now, we can simply come to this thing. We can simply make sure about this thing that even if you're having this merging operation, we shouldn't always go forward with that, right? So now in order to show you a kind of practical implementation, we can go forward with the two different tables that we are having. That is the sales data we are having. And we are also having one of the table, and that is, let us go with product lookup. All right. So now this product lookup is consisting of the product key, right? As its primary key. In a similar way, you can see that in the sales data, you are going to have one of the column, and that is going to be the product key. So as I was mentioning that whenever you are required to apply the merge operation, you always have to choose that specific column, which should come out to be equal, or which come out to be the similar one in both of the given tables. Like you might would have heard about foreign key and the primary key, right? So this primary key and foreign key used to work in that way itself, wherein if I want to join the different tables together, so I always have to make sure about this thing that a specific column should be getting repeated into multiple tables. And so on the basis of that specific column itself, I will be able to join these tables together. Right. So now let us go with the merge operation between the sales data 2022 and the product lookup on the basis of the product key we are having. So over here itself, you can see that we are having this operation of merge, wherein so you can see in your home tab itself, or in your home ribbon itself, we are having these operations. So as I was telling you that we can either go forward with the merge queries option, or we can go forward with the append queries option, right? So merge queries will be helping us out to create a kind of white table, and the append queries will be helping us out. So we will be discussing about the append queries in the next section itself, or in the next video itself. So first of all, let us get the idea about the merge queries, right? That how exactly we can create a kind of white table. So the table that we are considering from our side is the product lookup table, and the kind, and we will be merging respect to the type of sales data, right? And then we have to choose the that specific column with respect to which we have to join the two different tables together. So product key from the first table will now be associated with respect to the product key with respect to the second table, right? So you can see that into our given table, around 102 number of rows matches, or they are having the equal value out of these 293 rows that we are having, right? So this join kind you can also see over here, right? That is a left outer join. So in if you're having some insights about SQL, then you might be aware about that we are having these different join operation. Like we can have inner join, we can have left outer join, right outer join, we can have self join, cross join, outer join. So all of these multiple joins idea you can have, right? So definitely we won't be going deep into it, just because this uh, session is not exactly about SQL joins operation. But if you want to get the idea about this specific left outer, right outer, and all of that inside, then you should definitely have a kind of quick or strong hands-on in SQL, right? So let us go forward with this merge operation, and then we are joining the product lookup table with respect to sales data on the basis of the column that is product key, which is similar in both of the tables, right? And let us create this new table itself. So you can see that over here the values are being shown as table, and we are not exactly getting the values over here. So this thing makes sure that if you want to join the two different tables together, or if you want to merge the two different tables together, so you can have this functionality wherein you can decide that what specific columns from table 2 I want to join, or I want to merge with respect to the columns of table 1, right? So in this option itself, you can see, like in over here itself, you can see that you can select that what exactly the column from table 2 you are interested in, right? So it's up up to you that you can either select all of the columns from table 2, or as per your requirement, you can select some specific columns from table 2 itself, which you want to merge with respect to table 1 columns. So from my side, I want to choose the columns as product key. I want to choose, then I want to choose, let us go with order quantity and customer, let's go with stock, stock date, right? And then you can see that this also one of the option that has been checked, and that is use original column name as prefix. So definitely we will be looking into that, what exactly this statement means, that what we want to keep the original column name as prefix. So you 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 have to make sure that this specific option is checked from your side as well, as only after that you will be able to see the kind of values we are getting, or the kind of new attributes we are getting, right, from the given column or from the given table. So once I'm choosing this specific option, you can see that we are deriving some new columns over here, wherein, as I was telling you, that you have to choose that specific option that is the checked option. So that will be making sure that in the prefix, you will be getting the same value, right? So the second table name you will be getting in initially, just because you were keeping that in prefix, right? So this can be a kind of good criteria if you want to differentiate the table 1 with respect to table 2, if you are keeping your prefix like that. And you can see that how easily we were able to join the two different tables together, or we were able to merge the two different tables together on the basis of a specific column name itself, right? And this is what exactly the merge operation used to, and that's exactly how this merge queries option used to work. So whenever you want to join the two different tables together, or you want to merge the two different tables together so that you can create a kind of white table, then you should go forward with these merge queries option. And in the future videos, we will be going forward with the append queries section, that how exactly in the home tab this append query section used to work, right? So as again, I would like to tell you this, that if you're having this property, or if you're having this option to append the two different, or to merge the two different tables together, still you shouldn't be going forward with this option all the time, as definitely it should be creating a lot of duplicated values or a kind of redundant values, right? So all the time you shouldn't be going forward with this option. And that would be all in this video regarding the merge queries, and in the next video we will be discussing about that how exactly this append queries used to work. So thank you. All right, guys. So the last video we were discussing about that how exactly we can work with this merge queries option, right? So that we can create a white table via merging the different tables together, right? And we were discussing that in the further videos, we will be going forward with the append queries option. That what exactly this append queries option used to do, right? So in this specific video itself, we will be focusing upon this append queries option, that how exactly by making the use of this option, we will be able to append the tables together. So just like in Python, we are having the list, wherein if I want to insert a value at the end of the list, then I used to make the use of this function, that is the append function, right? So in Python, we are having this append function with respect to a list, wherein if I'm creating a list, then simply I can make the use of this append function to insert a value at the end of the list, right? And that's exactly how this append operation used to work over here itself with respect to the different tables we are going to have, wherein if we are having a specific table which is consisting of 5 columns, and the column name matches, or and the data type of those column matches with respect to some another table, wherein this specific table is also having 5 columns with the similar column name and the similar data type, then we can simply append these two different tables together, such that the column name which is there, let us go with the column name as C1 in the first table, right? So C1 in column 1 in the table 1 will now be getting joined, or C1 from table 2 will be appended with respect to the C1 from table 1, right? So in this way, you can see that the similar columns will be now appended together as soon as we are trying to append the two different tables together, right? So you can see this thing that whenever we are trying to append the two different tables together, so one thing we have to make sure that these two tables should follow the similar structure, right? And the second thing is that these two tables should have the similar data type as well. So by similar structure, I mean to say that C1 from table 1 should be joined with respect to C1 from table 2. In a similar way, C2 from table 1 should be joined, or C2 from table 2 should be appended with respect to C2 from table 1, right? Just like that, C5 from table 2 should be appended with respect to C5 from table 1, right? And that's exactly how this append queries used to work. So whenever we are trying to append the tables or we are trying to append the queries together, we are basically creating a kind of stack, right? So kind of stack table we will be generating via appending the two different queries together or via appending the two different tables together. And in the case of merge queries, we were trying to create a kind of table which will be having the columns from table 2 in a kind of single, in a kind of single row itself. Or we can say that a kind of wide table we were generating when we were applying the merge queries option. But that is not the exact case with respect to append queries, as in this specific case, we are going to create a long table, right? Or a kind of stacked table we can generate over here. So we have seen that in our specific CSV, so we were having these CSV files initially that were giving us the insight about the sales data, right? Sales data from the year of 2022, 21, and 20. So we can simply go forward with these three CSV files to get to know that how exactly this append queries used to work. So sales data 2022 we are already having. So now we will be looking into the sales data of 2020 and 2021. Right. So first of all, let us load our sales data of 2021. And why exactly we are appending these three tables together? Just because the column structure of all of these three tables is going to be the same, right? So you always have to make sure that if the column structure of the given tables which you are trying to append together is not exactly coming out to be the similar one, then you won't be able to append these tables together. Just like in the case of merge queries, we were required to have this option wherein whenever we are trying to merge the two different queries together or merge the two different tables together, both of the tables should have the similar column, right? On the basis of which we can merge these two different tables together, right? So we have just gathered the information about the sales data from 2021. Let us go forward with the proper name for it. The similar practice we will be following. And now we can go forward with the sales data of 2020. So let's gather it. Okay, so company sales data from 2020, and now we are going to extract the information from it. All right. So now quickly rename this specific table as well as sales data 2020. And now let us see that how exactly this append queries used to work. So first of all, let us just have just walk through these tables together, which we are trying to append together, right? So you can see the kind of columns it is consisting of is order date, stock date, order number, product key, right? And if you are going forward with sales data 2021 as well, then you can see that the similar column structure we are having, right? And this is what exactly I was talking about. So whenever I'm trying to append the two different tables together or multiple tables together, so I always have to make sure that each and every single column should be the same in the different tables which we are trying to append together, right? And one more thing you have to make sure from your side, and that is the data type of each and every single column should also match with respect to each other. And in a similar way for sales data 2022, you can see that the similar column structure we are having with a similar data type assigned to each and every single column. So now we can go forward in the home tab with the append queries section. So now I can make the use of append queries, wherein just because we have to go forward with three tables, right? Three or more tables we have to choose. So first of all, I can add, so it's completely up to you, wherein you can simply select a specific table from your side, which you want to append with respect to other table, and you can add it into the right end. right? So in the right box, you can see that you are adding the tables which you want to append together. So first of all, I will be choosing sales data 2021, which I want to add over here. And then I want to add sales data 2020 in my right box. So now these three tables will be getting joined together, right? And one more thing you have to one more thing we can do from our side is that we can simply move it up, right? So that 2020 will be shown at first and 2022 can be shown at the most bottom end, right? But these changes you can definitely make from your side, but just because in this specific project, we are in this specific video, we are focusing upon that how exactly we can append these different queries together, right? So you just have to focus upon this thing that what all queries you will be selecting onto your right box so that you can simply append them together. And before appending them together, you have to make sure that they are following the same structure and similar data type should be there for each and every single column. And now let us go with the append operation. I can click on OK over here. All right. So now into the specific table itself, I'm bringing in the changes, right? Wherein you can see that there is a specific table which has just been created right now, which is all right. So in this specific table itself, we have made the changes, right? But I think it's always a good practice if you are bringing in the changes or if you are trying to append the queries by creating a new table. So what exactly you can do from your side is that you can simply go forward with this drop down option and you can append the queries as new. As when you will be appending the queries as new, then one more thing we would like to show you at that specific point of time. But just first of all, let us go with this append queries option. So I'm going to select sales data 2021. I'm going to add it in the right box. Now I'm going to choose sales data 2020. I'm going to add it in the right box. And now let's append these tables together as a new table, right? So this new table has been named, or this new appended table has been named as append one. So I'm going to rename this table as sales data from 2020 to 2022. All right. So now you can see that this specific table itself or this specific appended table is consisting of the information. And you can see that in the front rows or in the top rows, you're getting the data from 2022, right? So definitely the way in which you are arranging the tables while you are trying to append them up, the selection or that what exactly is going to be at the top, you always have to make sure about that thing, right? So if you want to keep 2020 at the top, you always have to make the changes by that upper and down arrow that you were looking at, right? So now you can see that this specific table will be giving us the insight from each and every single year, that is from 2020 to 2021 to 2022, right? So from 2020 you can get the insight, and from 2021 as well you can get the insight, right? But one more thing I would like to show it to you over here, that just because now the specific table itself is giving us the insight about all of these three tables together, right? Like we're having the information from 2020 as well, 2021 as well, and 2022 as well. So there's the point to keep these tables together, right? Like for example, if I'm working with a large amount of data, and with respect to that large amount of data, if I'm keeping these three tables together, then there would be no point to keep it, right? Ultimately, they will be exceeding the memory. So I don't want that, right? So one thing I can do from my side is that I can simply delete this table. So over here, you can see this thing that whenever I'm trying to delete this table, it is showing me that the query sales data 2020 cannot be deleted because it's being referenced by another query, that is the sales data 2020 to 2022, right? So this option you will be always getting whenever you are going forward with this append queries option, wherein whenever you are trying to reference the multiple tables together to append them up into a single table itself, then you won't be able to delete those single individual tables whose reference you are taking to create that final appended table. And this thing would definitely be creating a kind of lot of issue when you will be working with a large amount of data, as definitely each and every single table would be taking a large will be consuming a large amount of memory, right? And when you have already appended them together, and then uh, if you are keeping those specific tables as well, then there is no point to keep it, right? So this option you always have to make sure. So this just because of this issue, we are going to come up with a video wherein we can show you that in one of the video we were discussing about that we can gather the information from a folder as well, right? So into one of our folder itself, what exactly we have did is that we have stored the information of sales data from 2020 to 2021 to 2022. So that in that specific folder itself, I'm just keeping the data that is regarding the sales in these three specific years. And I would like to show you in one of the future video that how exactly we can append these three different CSV files together, so that when we are trying to append these three different files from that specific folder, then there would not be any issue wherein I am required to reference each and every single table together. And you can also see over there that as soon as I'm going to add some new table in that specific folder, then the information will be getting appended. Like for example, if I'm trying to insert the information about sales data from 2023 as well, then you will be looking at that as soon as I'm clicking on the refresh option in Power BI, then you will be able to see that into our appended query, into our final appended query, which is consisting of the information from that folder. So into this query, the information from 2023 as well will now be appended. So that option is definitely going to be a great option, as that would not be creating this issue of keeping these individual tables together, right? So we will be definitely looking about that aspect in one of our future video, that how exactly I can append the different queries which I'm going to store into a single folder. And as soon as I'm involving some new CSV file in that specific folder, then how exactly by clicking on this refresh option, we'll get to see the values getting appended into our Power BI, right? But for this specific video, we have just given you a reference at how exactly this appended queries used to work. And definitely you can also try this thing so that you will be having a kind of great knowledge that in the future, in the future projects, how exactly you can work with this option, right? So that will be all in this video. And one of the video, we will be showing you that how exactly the folder operation also works, right? So we will be meeting you in the next video, and thank you guys. All right, guys. So in our first video itself, when we were discussing about the data source settings, that how exactly we can gather the information. So we were discussing about that we are having this option wherein I can gather the information from a specific folder itself, right? So all of the files which will be present into that specific folder itself, I will be able to append the information from all of these files which are going to be there in that specific folder, and I can extract out the information from all of the files that will be present or that will be contained in that specific folder itself, right? So this is something I can achieve whenever I'm making the use of that folder option, but we haven't actually explored it yet, right? So as you can see over here that we are having this information about sales data 2020 to 2022. And as in one of the video, we have discussed that how exactly by applying this append queries option, we will be able to create such a kind of table, right? But we were coming across one of the issue wherein when I'm trying to append these multiple queries together, so you can see this option that if I'm taking the reference of these three tables, that is sales data 2020, sales data 2021, and sales data 2022, right? So whenever I'm trying to extract the information, or whenever I'm trying to take the reference of these three specific files, then I won't be able to delete this sales data 2020 to 2022, right? Like I can show it to you again as well. So for example, if I'm trying to delete this specific file, and you can see this pop-up option that is showing you that the query sales data 2020 cannot be deleted because it's being referenced by another query that is sales data 2020 to 2022, right? So ultimately, this will be creating a kind of issue for us, just because if we are working with a large amount of data, and if these three specific files are already consisting of a large amount of memory, they're already consuming a large amount of memory, that would be obviously difficult for us, right? To consider these three files as well to keep these three files in the Power BI memory as well, and then to keep this appended query as well. And there is no such option in this specific scenario wherein I can keep this specific appended query only, and I can delete these referenced queries, or I can delete this reference tables, right? And just because of that, what exactly we can do is that we can now make the use of that folder option that we were discussing initially. So in the data source setting initial video, we were discussing that we are having one of the option to gather the information from a folder itself, right? And one of the best thing about gathering the information from a folder is that if you are having multiple CSV files into a folder, then as soon as you are going to choose your data source as that specific folder itself, then all of the files which will be present in that folder will be getting appended together, so that the complete information you can gather from all of these files which will be present in that folder, right? And that's exactly how you can work with this data source setting, which is concerned about information gathering from a folder, right? So we will be exploring this, and we can show you that how exactly you can gather the information from a folder, and ultimately how exactly the files are getting appended. And one more thing I would like to emphasize upon that initially in your folder, if you are having 3 to 4 files which are getting appended as soon as you are going to connect to your folder, then you will see one thing as well, that initially if you're having only 4 files, but after some days, if the number of files are getting converted from 4 to 5, or if 2 to 3 new files are getting added in that specific folder, then on clicking on this refresh option over here, you'll get to see these 3 new files which you have just added in your laptop in that folder will be ultimately getting appended into your Power BI itself. Right, so there is no such requirement to manually update the files as soon as you are going to add them up in the folder, as automatically Power BI will be adding these files into your Power BI backend itself, right? And that is one of the great thing about making the use of this folder data gathering option. So we will be going forward with this, and let me now show you that how exactly you can do it. So again, I will be going forward with my new source setting over here. I'm going to click on more. And now you can see that there is an option over here that is a folder, right? So you can import the metadata and links about the files in a folder, right? So whatever information you are storing in this folder, whatever number of files you are storing in this folder, you will be able to extract the information out of these files from this folder itself. So I'm going to connect with respect to this folder. You can simply browse the path. So So my sales data folder is consisting of the complete information, right? So it will be consisting of all of these 3 files which I'm interested in. That is consisting of the information from 2020 to 2022. So I'm going to select this specific folder. I'm going to click on OK. And now Power BI will be able to gather the information from these 3 specific files. So you can see that at this point, it is not exactly showing you the preview, the proper preview of it. But we will be looking at via making the use of this transform data option. All right, so you can see over here that you have just come up with this new sales data folder, but it is not exactly showing you that what all different files you're having, right? Like you can see that you're having the information about the sales data 2020 to 2021 to 2022, but the actual data you won't be able to see at this point, right? And just because of that, you have to make the use of this option that you can see, this box that is a combined files option. So you have to click over here. And on clicking on this option, you can see that the complete preview now you can see, right? The complete preview that is consisting of the information from year 2020 to 2021 to 2022. So the first file they are choosing as 2020 just because they want to maintain order, right? Definitely the sales will be starting from 2020 and then from 2021 to 2022, right? So just because of that, our information will also be consisting of the information in a similar way. But if you want to explore these three files by arranging them, then you can simply click on one of the option. Like if I'm clicking over here, then you'll get to see that the preview is getting evaluated and the information is getting started from 2021, right? So you can just simply bring in the changes if you want to see the changes in the preview. But what exactly we want to show you is that by just making the use of that folder, you can see that all of these three files are now being appended together, right? So there is no such requirement to extract the information from these multiple CSV files. As what exactly you are doing is that you are extracting the information from a specific folder itself, and whatever files you are having into that specific folder itself are getting appended together so that you can get the information from all of these files which are following the same structure. As we have already discussed about this thing that whenever you are trying to apply the append operation, you have to make sure about this thing that all of the tables which you are trying to append together should follow the same structure and should have the similar data type for each and every single column as well. So by a similar structure, I mean to say that each and every single file should have the same kind of column. So same column if each and every single file are having with a proper data type or a similar data type, then only you will be able to extract the information out of these multiple files which are there in a folder, right? So now let me click on OK, and on clicking on OK, you'll get to see that how exactly you will be able to gather the information out of each and every single file you are having, right? So you can see that the order date is consisting of the information getting started from 2020. And if you'll just hover down, or if you'll just scroll down, then you'll get to see at some point that the information is of the year 2021 as well. Let us just scroll down and okay, there is no such need to scroll down every time. As you can in the search option itself, you can see that you are going to have this option to search for the year itself, right? But still, we are just showing you that how exactly you can see that the proper values are getting appended, right? So you can see that as soon as the information is getting the last information that is there is from 31st December 2020, and just after that, the information you are having is of 1st January 2021, right? So you can see a proper append operation is happening, right? So after the first CSV file, the second CSV file is appended, and after that, the third CSV file is appended, right? So proper append operation you can see, and you haven't actually applied any of these append queries option. You haven't actually went forward with each and every single file. As what exactly you did from your side is that you just simply connected to a folder, and all of the files which were present in that folder itself, you were able to append them together automatically, and you were able to gather the information from it, right? And tomorrow, if I'm adding some information about the sales data from 2023 to 2024 as well, then on clicking on this refresh preview option, I will able to see that in this specific section itself, the next the data will be getting appended with respect to 2023 and 2024 as well, right? And that's exactly how you can work with these multiple CSV files, right? And that this is exactly how the append operation used to work if you're trying to work with the folder connection. And you can see that we are having one of the column over here that is source.name, and it is not exactly required now. So you can simply remove it. And now we are having proper information with proper attributes. We are having attribute is a column. So we are having proper columns over here with the proper data type assigned. And now you can also see this one option over here. We are having this sales data, right? So if just because now we are having the information from all of the CSV files, so there is no such requirement to keep these files, right? That is sales data 2020 to 2022 and the rest of the files that we had, which were already consuming a large amount of memory. And now we won't be facing any issue to store these files which we are taking the reference from as well, right? As now we are not exactly taking a reference from any file which we have already imported. So now we can even delete the rest of the files which we want to. Like I can show you that now I can delete this sales data 2020 as well, and my rest of the required files as well. So now this specific file, which is or this specific information which is there from a single folder itself will now be giving us the complete insight from these three CSV files which were being appended together, right? So over here itself, you can see that there is a helper queries this folder which has just been created right now. So it is also giving you the complete insight that how exactly the transformation has happened. So complete step-by-step approach you can see over here itself. So this folder will also be created, but our main focus was on how exactly you can just simply put all of your files into a single folder itself if you want to apply this append queries option, so that you won't be facing this error of or you won't be facing this issue of keeping the files from which you are taking the reference from, right? And this would be all regarding how exactly you can gather the information from a folder. So whenever you are working tomorrow in a specific project, and if you are having the information from multiple years, and if you want to append them together, so definitely keeping all of these files which you are trying to append in Power BI into a folder itself is going to be a better approach, right? When you are especially working with big data, right? And that is exactly how you can work with gathering the information from a folder. So this would be all in this video. So we have just discussed to how to gather the information from a folder, and we will be meeting you in the next video with some more important knowledge, right? So thank you guys. All right, guys. So in this specific video, we will be focusing upon important concept that is there in Power BI, and that is regarding the data source setting that you can see over here, right? So in your Power BI desktop itself, you'll get to see that there is an option over here that is regarding the data sources. So what exactly this data source setting is? So for example, in my folder, if I'm trying to bring in some changes wherein with respect to my specific CSV file, like let us go with this specific CSV file that we are having, which is showing us the details about the product subcategories lookup. All right. So now with respect to this CSV file, if I'm just looking into its path, so in this applied step itself, you can see that we are having some source applied step, right? Which is being applied by Power BI itself. And if I'm just clicking over here, then you'll get to see that this is giving us the details that what exactly is the file path, right? So how exactly Power BI used to gather the data? It will be able to gather the data by simply going forward with the file path which is there. So it will be going forward with the complete path which is going to be there in your laptop or from whatever data source you are going to gather it from. And then from that specific path itself, it will be able to gather the data. It is just like the dynamic data scrapping that you used to do, wherein for example, you're trying to gather some information from a specific link or a specific website link, then definitely Power BI will be gathering the information from that specific website link itself, right? But if there are some changes happening onto that specific website link, like for example, this specific link is not working at this point, then do you really think that you will be able to gather the information from that website now? No, right? You won't be able to gather the information now from that specific website just because that link has been changed now, right? And that is what something the error you used to find whenever we are going forward with the CSV files that are stored in our own laptop as well. So for example, if I'm bringing in changes, so if I'm changing the name of the CSV file from the current file name to some another name, then there are going to be some high chances that and there is obviously going to be a error that we will be looking at, and that is going to be the data source error, wherein just because we have changed the file name, so Power BI won't be able to figure it out that with respect to the new file name that we have mentioned, whether if the original file name and the current file name is the same or not. Or what exactly we need to do from our side is that as soon as we are bringing in the changes in the file name in our laptop, we have to bring in the changes in the file name in Power BI data source setting as well, as then only we will be able to make sure about this thing that Power BI is able to gather the information from the proper path or from the proper specified path. So if I'm having a file name like product subcategories lookup, so Power BI is trying to gather the information from this specific file name itself, right? That is product subcategories lookup. But what if I'm changing the name of this specific file as product subcategories lookup to product subcategories lookup dash and something else in my laptop? And definitely you will be able to see that when I'm going to click on this refresh preview option over here, then Power BI won't be able to figure out that what exactly the specific file is, right? Just because we have made the changes into the file name, right? And this is not just about the file name itself. Even if you're trying to change the path of the file, like for example, if I'm not storing my file into this specific folder, and if I'm trying to save it in some another folder, then also I will be getting the same error. So that's why you always have to make sure that the proper path you should assign for a specific file name. And if you're changing this name of the file, or if you're changing the path of the file as well, then you should always make the changes in Power BI as well. So that you can make sure about this thing that as soon as you're going to change the path of your file in your laptop, the changes will be happening in Power BI as well. And then it will be able to extract the information from wherever that file is. Right. So we'll be showing you a practical implementation that what exactly we are talking about. So first of all, let us just go into this data source settings. That what exactly it is showing us, right? So you can see over here that what exactly Power BI is doing is that it is taking a kind of snapshot of the path of the file which we have just gathered, right? So these are the multiple files we have gathered, and Power BI is just taking a snapshot of it. And you can see that if I'm trying to change the name from company calendar lookup to company calendar lookup dash 2 in my laptop, then this specific file path won't be the same as that of the file path which we have mentioned in the laptop, right? And just because of that, we will be getting some errors in extracting the information from that specific file. So that's why it's always important to change the source over here, to change the path over here, so that we will be able to gather the information from the proper file path itself. So we will be showing you now the practical implementation, that how exactly the things will be happening. So let me show it to you over here itself. So I'm having this file path over here. Let me go with the file path wherein I'm having this company product lookup over here, right? So you can see in Power BI, we are having the file path name as product lookup.csv, right? And we are not, and this specific file path is matching with respect to the name of the specific file path, right? And that is company product lookup. But what if I'm changing the name of this file over here? So I'm changing the name, such as the name is getting changed from company product lookup dash 2, right? And now you can see over here that when I'm moving to my Power BI desktop, and if I'm clicking on this refresh preview option over here, so you can see that we are getting an error, something like that over here, right? Yeah, you can see the error coming over here, right? That is a data source error that you can see. So it is showing you that we couldn't file this, we couldn't actually find this file path that is specified over here, right? So this error, why exactly we are getting, just because we have made the changes into our file name over here, right? Like you can see over here, we are having this specific file name, and that is company product lookup 2. And just because we have made the changes into the file name, that's why we are getting this error in Power BI, that it is not able to figure out the path of the specific file. So what exactly we can do over here is that we can, if I want to simply come out of this error, then I can do two things over here. Either I can go forward with this, either I can make the changes into this specific file name itself, wherein I can rename it back to company product lookup itself from this new file which I have just gathered right now. Or one more thing I can do from my side, and that is in Power BI, in my data source setting, I can click on this change source option. So we can just simply click on the specified file. So what exactly the file we were looking at was the company product lookup, right? So you have to choose that specific file. You have to click on change source. And then let me go forward with changing the name of that specific file. All right, so the new name which I have just changed it to is dash 2, right? Right, so this is a name which is matching with respect to the new name which I have just changed in my desktop. And now if I'm clicking on OK, all right, so you can see that there are some changes which you can see that the name is getting changed as company product lookup dash 2, right? And now if I'm clicking on close option, and then if I'm clicking on the refresh preview option over here, then you will be able to see that we are not exactly getting that error again, right? Just because we have made the changes from our side. So this is something you can do from your side as well, wherein whenever you are facing this error, wherein you are not exactly able to figure out that whenever you are getting this error as the data source error, you are always required to make sure that the path which you have specified in Power BI, whether if that specific path matches with respect to the path of your file which is there in your laptop or not. And if the path is not matching, or if the file name is getting changed, or any changes are happening into the file path or in the file name, then you always have to make sure about this thing that you are specifying the proper path for that file. So either you can go forward with that option, or you can simply make one more change as well over here. So as I was telling you that you can bring in some changes wherein you can keep it as your original name, and then we will be going forward with our Power BI desktop. And again, if I'm clicking on refresh preview option over here, again you'll get to see the same error, right? Just because now it is trying to fetch the information from the file that is company product lookup 2, but now we have renamed it, right? So that's why we are again getting this data source error over here. So in order to come out of this error, we have already shown you one of the way in which we can come out of this error, right? But there is also one of the way in which you can simply come out of this error is by, and that is by clicking on this source option. So this source option is being applied as one of the step by Power BI itself, wherein it used to gather the information from that specified source path itself, which is going to be there in your data source settings. So by clicking on the settings option over here itself, you will be able to make the changes. Well, just because the new file name which I have just specified from my side is not consisting of this dash and 2, right? So either you can go forward with this browse option, you can directly select that specific file, or what exactly you can do is that you can simply change the file name from your side as well. And I've made the changes. I'm going to click on OK over here. And on clicking on OK, you'll get to see that we are able to extract the information. So most of the time you will be getting this data source error whenever you are trying to change the path of your file, or whenever you are trying to change the file name or any changes you are bringing in. So you always have to make sure that the source, the data source which you have mentioned from your side is always updated with respect to the path of the file which is there in your laptop. And even if you're making some changes, even if you're trying to work with let us say a kind of website, right? So if the website URL is getting changed, then you always have to make sure that in the data source settings, you have to bring in the changes into that data, into that website URL as well, as then only you will be able to extract the information from that specified URL. So this is just a way to come out of this data source error, and this error you will be getting most of the time whenever you are bringing in the changes into the source path, right? So this was a video regarding that how exactly you can work with this data source setting, and that would be all in this video, and we will be meeting you in the next video with some more important learning, right? So thank you guys. All right, guys. So in one of our previous videos, we were discussing about this refresh option, right? That how exactly this refresh option can work in our Power BI section, right? So, for example, you are trying to work with the data which is getting changed with respect to time. So, for example, you are trying to retrieve the data or extract the data from a specific website. And now, whoever is handling that specific website, so the information on that website is getting changed with respect to time. So the link for that specific website would gonna remain the same as it is from where you are gathering the information. So we have already shown you in one of the video that how exactly you can gather the information from a specific website by just copying the link of that specific website, right? So again, I would like to show you that if you are just going forward with this web option, right? So this web option will be helping you out to scrap the information, or in some simple terms, we can call it as web scrapping. So web scraping will be helping you out to gather the information from that specific website itself. Now onto that website, if the information is getting changed with respect to time, and if you want to keep yourself updated with the current information, or if you want that Power BI should keep the information updated as soon as the information is getting changed in the website itself, then you have to go forward with this refresh option. So in Power BI home section itself, you can see that there is an option that is refresh option, right? So whenever you are trying to work with this kind of data which is getting changed with respect to time, then you always have to click on this refresh option. And this specific option will be making sure that as soon as some information is getting changed onto your source data, that information change will be getting reflected into your Power BI as well. And this mostly works with respect to the dynamic data. So whenever you will be working with dynamic data, you always have to make the use of this refresh option, as if your information is stored into a CSV file, or if it is a static data, and if the information is not getting changed with respect to time, then it's always better to not exactly include that specific static data into your refresh option, right? But let us go with a situation wherein you are working with the dynamic and static data, both of the data you are working with. Then it's always a good practice to always keep your data updated, right? By just simply going forward with this refresh option with respect to that dynamic data. So into a data model itself, I would like to show you this option that if I'm just clicking over here onto this refresh option, right, into my front end, clicking on this option, you'll get to see that each and every single file over here is getting refreshed, right? And whatever changes you are making, so that changes you will be able to see into your front end, right? As soon as you're going to click on the refresh option. But you're always having this functionality or this option wherein it's always upon you that whether if you want to keep a specific file, or if you want to keep a specific table into your refresh option or not. That means if you're having around five number of files which are consisting of static data and which are not changing with respect to time, then there is no point to keep these specific files, right, into your or there is no point to associate these five files with respect to your refresh option, right? As ultimately the specific information is not getting changed. Right, so just in order to make sure about that thing that we are not storing these kind of files whenever we are trying to refresh our data. So for that, if I am just right clicking onto a specific query or into a specific table, you'll get to see these multiple options, right? So this multiple option, like for example, if you want to create a duplicate of a specific table, then you will be able to do it. If you want to basically, if you don't want that this specific table should be loaded into the front end, then you can simply click over here, and that will be making sure that into the front end of your data model, this specific table won't be included. So it's always a good practice to make the use of this right click option by clicking on one of the table, so that you'll get to see these options, right? And now there is also one of the option that we would like to emphasize on, and that is include in report refresh, right? So this specific option will be making sure about this thing that if we are having a specific file which is consisting of static data and which is not changing with time, then I can simply choose this option that is, or I can simply deselect this option that is include in report refresh. And this will be making sure about this thing that as soon as I'm going to click, yeah, you can see that it is being deselected, right? So this will be making sure about this thing that as soon as I'm going to change some information at, uh, and as soon as I'm going to click on the refresh button, then these specific files won't be included into my refreshing option, right? So again, if I'm going to deselect this calendar lookup as well, let us go with customer lookup as well. I'm deselecting that include in report refresh. Along with that, with the product categories, I'm doing the same thing. Similarly for product lookup and for territory lookup, right? And then for category sales as well, I'm performing the same criteria, right? So it is already being deselected. And I'm just interested in looking forward to the information from sales data 2022, 21, and 2020, right? So now in the front end, if I'm clicking on the refresh option, then you'll get to see that the other tables are not getting included over here, right? And only the tables which I have chosen, only these specific tables are getting refreshed. So this is exactly how you can work with this information or with respect to this option. So it's always upon you that if you're working with both static and dynamic data, and if you're just working with dynamic data itself, so you always have to make sure that the information is up to date. And for that, you can simply go forward with this refresh option. And if you're consisting of the information which is showing us both static and dynamic data, then it's always a good practice to simply exclude those files which are consisting of the static information, right? And this is exactly how you can work with this refresh option. So we will be meeting in the next video with some more important transformation, and this would be all in this video. So thank you guys. All right, guys. So up till now, we were focusing upon these files that are the CSV files, right? That how exactly we can extract the information from these CSV files. So we went forward with these multiple CSV files that we had. That is the product lookup CSV file you can see over here, and these multiple CSV files that you can see over here. So these CSV files are nothing but an Excel file itself, right? So what exactly we were doing up till now is that we were extracting the information from these files, and then we were doing the data assessment, and we were doing the data cleaning. So all of the transformation we were bringing in into the data, that is the text data and the numerical data that we had. But we are not exactly working in a way wherein if we can have a way wherein the transformation can be made. So all of this transformation, this data modeling that we will be learning about in the next section itself. So we haven't looked into one of the Excel file wherein this Excel file can have already the complete transformation which has been did. Then a CSV file or an Excel file which is having the tables which are already being related with respect to each other. Already some important calculations are there and some new important columns are there which are already there in Excel. And already some query editing procedure is already being applied, right? So we haven't seen any of such Excel model, right? So in Power BI, just because, as I was mentioning in our first video itself, that just because Power BI belongs to Microsoft as well, and Microsoft is having Excel as well, right? Just because both Excel and Power BI are the product of Microsoft itself, that's why if you are having these multiple workbooks, or if you're having a workbook which is having these multiple worksheets, so these worksheets are like the CSV files, right? So in Excel, if you're having these multiple worksheets which are in which you have already did the transformation. So the complete transformation you have did the data assessment and data cleaning. And then in Excel itself, if you have built a data model as well to relate these multiple tables, right? Then what exactly you can do is that you can simply extract the information from that specific Excel file or from that specific data model that is in Excel into Power BI itself, right? So there is no such requirement in this particular scenario that you have to first of all import these multiple worksheets as a CSV file, and then you have to apply this data assessment, data cleaning, and then you have to build this data model. So all of these aspects you are not exactly required to come up with, or you are not exactly required to look come up with these steps, right? As what exactly you can do is that you can simply import the complete model which you have already built in Excel itself, and that model which you have built in Excel, that you can directly import in Power BI, so that you don't have to repeat these steps, that is data assessment, data cleaning, and data modeling, right? So in the file option itself, you can see that we are having this option as import, right? So over here, you're having this option that is you can import the data from a Power Query, Pivot, or you can also import the data from a Power View as well. So this option will be exactly helping you out in a Excel file, wherein into a Excel file itself, you have already did the complete transformation. You have defined the relationship between the multiple worksheets or the tables, and you have already created this complete data model over there itself. And then by making the use of this option itself, you will be able to import that complete data model that is there in Excel in Power BI. Right. So this can be one of the procedure wherein if you are comfortable with Excel itself and if you're having some strong hands-on in Excel itself, then you can definitely go forward with the transformation and assessment in Excel only, and you can create the complete data model in Excel only, right? And then that specific model you can import directly in Power BI so that you don't have to make these changes again and again, right? And that is again one of the great functionality in Power BI, and that or we can say that that is again a kind of great functionality in making the use of the product of Microsoft, right? That is one of the major reasons why again Power BI is so preferred, right? As these steps like data assessment, data cleaning, and all of these steps you are not even required to apply again and again if you are comfortable with Excel. And just because most of the companies are already making the use of Excel in their day-to-day requirement, and they have been making the use of in the past years as well, so that's why people are already comfortable with Excel, right? And those who are comfortable with Excel, they can bring in all the changes over here. They can simply make the use of this option that is importing the data from a Power Query, Power Pivot, or Power View, and they can see their complete transformation directly in Power BI. And then they can go forward with their visualization. Right, and that's exactly how you can import these Excel models. So in this video, we were discussing about that how exactly again Power BI is coming out to be an important asset for us just because it is a Microsoft product, and how exactly if you're comfortable in Excel, then you can work with Power BI as well, right? So that would be all regarding that how exactly you can import these Excel models, and we will be meeting you in the next video with some important knowledge, some more important learning, right? So thank you.